Hi guys, in the last video of the Docker tutorial, we learned about the containers. We tried to understand what is container and how it works. We also saw an example of vanity van which is closely related to container. If you have not watched this video, please go to the playlist and watch it and come back to this current lesson. Let's start this video. So today we are going to talk about Docker image. So let me open this slide. Okay, so the first thing which comes in our mind, what is Docker image? Why we are learning this? And what's the real definition of this? So Docker image is an immutable file that contains the source code, libraries, dependencies, tools and other files needed to run an application. So in the beginning we understood, right, Docker has only thing which are needed for an application. Okay, so here as well, that's why we talked about Docker image is an immutable file. So here we are saying that it is an immutable file. So this means once the image is created, then after you cannot modify any value or anything inside that image, and that's why it acts as a template. It acts as a template, and this template contains all the dependencies. Okay, what are the things need to be done to run the application, everything is mentioned inside that image. So now we need to understand like how we create image. I hope it's clear about the definition. You can google it out, you can get the definition in more simpler words. But yes, the most important thing is it is immutable. You cannot modify it, and it act as a template. Okay, so you cannot use it directly. You must need to create a container from it, then only you can utilize this image. Okay, now the next question, how this application works with the help of image. So let's get into the next slide. So now here we need to understand how this Docker image is created. So there are two ways to create a Docker image. One, you can utilize the image created by the vendor. Another, you can create your own image. Okay, the first one is, let's say Nginx has created its own image. So Nginx created a Docker file, and using that file Nginx created an image and uploaded that image to the Docker hub. Okay, so when I need to use that image, what I do in my local system, I do docker pull the image name, and I will have that image from the Docker hub, and from there we can run the container. That's what we have learned, right? So let's see that practically. So let's see whether we have a image available or not. It's not there. So now what we do, docker pull nginx. So now we have newer version of this one. Okay, so we have this image from the Docker hub. Okay, and from here we can run the container that we have already seen in the last video. So what we were discussing that Nginx has created its own Docker file, and from that Docker file they have created image and pushed that image to Docker hub, and from there we can use that image. Okay, and from we can download that image using docker pull, and then after we can use that to create a or run a container. Now what's the second approach? Second approach is, I want to create my own Docker image. So to do that we have to create a Docker file, and then we need to create a Docker image. And if you want that someone else can utilize that image, we have to push that Docker image to Docker hub so that other can pull it like Nginx. Okay, so now let's see that. So let's see how we can create a Docker file. Okay, before getting into the file, the most important thing here is the name of the file should be Docker file. It's a case sensitive. Okay, and if you are going to use some different name, then you have to use a flag that is -f while building an image. So let's see that as well. So I'm just doing clear here. So let's do that. So I have VS Code open here. So this is the file I have created. We are utilizing the existing official image of the Nginx, and we are doing some custom configuration so that we can get a new image that would be the custom image based on our requirement. So that's why the first line of this image is from. So we are referring the this Nginx latest as a base image. On top of that, we are adding our requirement. Here each line is considered as a step while building this building image from this file. So let's see that how it works. So it's a very simple example to create a custom image from a Docker file. So let's go here. We can see that we have a file here, and how we can verify? We have created a directory, my directory, right? And if we create a directory, we are doing ls-l. It means whenever we list down, we will have this my directory created. Okay, so in upcoming lectures we will discuss in detail about all these terms, right? From, run, commands. So we will discuss and we will see small examples with them, but as of now we are trying to learn here about the basics of Docker image. What is Docker definition and how it works, but what are the commands and all, we will see in detail in upcoming videos. So I have Docker file in this current location. So I'm going to build, and before that I will show you image ls. So I have only one image, which is the official one. Tag is latest. So I'm going to create a new image build, -t is for tag, and then I will give my name of my image. This is my ng, and then I will put dot. It means the location of the Docker file. So Docker will try to find the Docker file in the current directory, and it will try to find out this file name. Okay, so let's see this. Okay, so here you can see this. There are each statement considered as a step. So you can see this, there are total 2 steps. The first step is from Docker image. So using this, it creates a base image, and on top of that it applies this 2 by 2, the second step, where it created a directory and it created a file inside this image. Okay, so if we run this this image as a container, now we have an image available. Let's see that Docker image ls. If you want to let others use your image, you can just push this image to Docker Hub and people will use that. We will also see that in upcoming lectures. Let's run a container, Docker container run rm -it, and then we will provide the name of the image, my ng. Okay, so now you can see here we are having this my directory. Okay, we are having my directory created inside the container, and that what I have defined in the Docker file. Inside this Docker file, if I change the name of this, if I want to change the name of the directory, okay, so we cannot modify anything inside the built image. You cannot do that. You cannot do any change in this my ng image. If you want to do the change, you need to come here and you need to modify the name or name of the directory here. Okay, so let's say I make it like India. Fine. So now what we have done, we have modified the Docker file, and Now if we want to see the change, right, we need to again create an image, because image is an immutable file. So whatever the image we have so far, this one, we cannot utilize that because that will not have that change. Okay, so let's rebuild the image again. So now doing ls, we have this file, docker file, docker image build. We will give the tag name, let's say update new my ng, and then dot, the location of the docker file. So now this is done. If we run a container from this using this image, we can see the changes. Docker container run, docker container run, we can specify the image name. What's the image name we have given? Before that we should do the ls just to verify whether it's there. So you can see this, a new image is created. Now we can run a container, docker container run new my ng. So now here you can see some folder called country. So hope it's clear, right? You are using docker file. Using that docker file, you are creating a docker image. Once you have created a docker image, it is immutable. If you want to do any change, you need to go back to your docker file, update that docker file and create a new image, and then after you can run a container. Okay, and this is a image what we have created, and if you want others to use this, we can put it to the repository, docker hub repository. Okay, so now let's go back to the slide. So that is what I have put here. This is an example of a docker file that we are using. Okay, so now let's see one more thing here. So let's do one thing, clear, and now we want to create a file with a different name. So just for understanding, if I go here, or I can just do here itself, we can change the file name to this docker file to let's say my file. Okay, so now if I try to create an image, let's say give a new image ng img1, right, enter. So you can see it's docker is complaining that it is unable to find a docker file because we have not specified any file name here. So by default it is looking for a file name as docker file, so it's not available in the current directory. So to mention the file name, what we need to do, we need to mention here -f my file. Okay, that's the name what we have written, yeah, my file. So now you can see the image is created using this my file. It's not complaining now. Now we can go to docker image ls and you can find the new image here. So far we have created image. Let's clear them. So to delete images from your repository, local repository, first you need to stop the containers. So let's see if any container is running, docker container ls. Okay, so this one was stopped, so still we need to remove this, docker container rm. You need to type the first 3 letters of the container id, 18c, spelling mistake, docker, removed. We can confirm it again, no containers. Now we can do the docker image ls. We want to remove all the images. So to run all the images at a time, we have one command, but before that let me show you how we can remove one image at a time. So you need to do docker image image rm and the image name. Let's say I want to delete the last one, nginx. Okay, it's deleted. Now if I do ls, it's not there. But if you want to delete all the images, right? So you need to do docker image rm dollar, you can mention here docker image ls. So whatever the output comes, that will be an input for this rm command. So now docker image will list these 3 images, and those 3 images id will be taken, and the images name will be taken, and that will be deleted. So let's see. So it's deleted, these 3 are deleted. Now it's saying that repository invalid reference format. Okay, so now let's do ls. See, it's all removed. Clear. So I hope it's it's easy to understand what is docker image, and we will discuss this docker image in detail, how it works and how we build them in a different way, or how we push these images to the Docker Hub repository in upcoming lessons. So that's all for this video. If you really like it, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.